of September, I just want to share with you all the books that I accumulated or the books that I bought during quarantine or lockdown. I got this book at a second-hand bookstore or a independent bookstore, and I have few books that I wanted to share it with you all, and some are classic and some are not. And it's a tiny bit embarrassing, but well, let's jump into it. And the first book that I got, The 13th Tale by Diane Sentefeld. This book is a gothic novel and is suspense, and I believe this book is the only or the first book published by the author. This book, we follow our main character who is hired on by this very well-known author, and she write a lot of books. So I don't know a lot about this book, but sometimes it's nice to read a book that you have a little idea. And I know this is very popular on BookTube way back. And the next book that I got is also another gothic, and that book is The Clockmakers Daughter by Kate Morton. I really love Kate Morton. I read two of her books before and I loved it. If you like gothic, atmospheric, old house, maybe try Kate Morton because her novel is really good. Her writing also is beautiful. Yes, in this book we follow a bunch of artists who are staying at the state for the summer uh, to get their inspiration for their art while they're there, and everything seems to be going fine until devastating stuff happens. In a one afternoon, gunshot ring out, one woman dead, one woman missing, and we will find out what happened when we read this book. And yes, so I think it's very suspenseful, so I believe I'm gonna like it. And the next book that I've got is Peace Like a River by Liv Inger. This book is about an 11-year-old boy named Robin who live in a small town in Minnesota with her father Jeremiah, older brother Davy, and her younger sister Swedi. And Robin was born with a bad asthma. This is the story about family, love, faith, and miracles. I got this book because it's really nice to read family or family drama during Christmas time, December. So yeah. And the next book that I got is The Woman in the Castle by Jessica Shattuck. This is a historical fiction. I also love historical fiction if you don't know. And this is set during World War II. We follow three different women in aftermath of the World War II in Germany. All three of these women are widowed because of World War II, and they take shelter together in a castle that belonged to a family of one of the women. And yeah, sounds so interesting. I have high hopes of this book. And the next book that I wanted to share it with you, I got it at secondhand bookstore, and the book is In the Woods by Tana French. And this book is a mystery and published in 2007. I'm eyeing this book for quite some time now because it sounds so interesting, and this book is won several awards such as 2008 Edgar Award for Best Novel by an American Author and a Barry Award for Best First Novel in 2008. And the story is about a pair of detective or Irish detective and their investigation of the murder of a 12-year-old girl. So yeah, mystery, December, January during winter time. I don't know you guys, but I love to read mystery about that season or that kind of season. And the next book that I want to share it with you guys is a modern classic, and this book is A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. And I don't have any idea about this book, but as I read here in the blurb, It's set in England and it's a dystopian future novel. It follows a 15-year-old named Alex who hunts for terrible thrills, and I don't know over than that. And next book that I want to share it with you, it's another modern classic, and it's a Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I know, this is very popular here in Booktube and outside in Booktube, and I'm late in the party, but it's okay. Of a fireman, Guy Montag, and his job is to destroy the most illegal of commodities, and the printed book, and which is we don't like it because as a book lovers or a book obsessed, when a citizen is found to have a contraband books, firemen ascend to their residence and to burn them in front of that person. It's so sad. Yeah. And the next book that I've got is modern classic, and it's a The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I know it has an adaptation on Hulu, but I haven't watched it yet, and I probably read the book first and then watch the adaptation. And this is the story of the handmaids. The handmaids are forced to provide children by proxy for infertile women of a higher social status. That's all I know, and sounds interesting too. And this is very, very also popular on Booktube and outside on Booktube. And the next book that I got is a classic, and this book is A Room with a View by A.M. Foster. I haven't read A.M. Foster before, and this is the story of a young lady called Lucy Honeychurch, who is our protagonist, and while on vacation in Italy, she meets the Emerson, Mr. Emerson, and his son George Emerson, who are a bit strange and quite spoken or outspoken with their belief, which is not considered to be proper by people of society way back. And from there, it kind of develops into how Lucy and George interact and how the relationship develops. And I think it's have a romance, but I love romance too, so yeah, sounds good to me. And the next book that I've got is another classic, and that book is The Hanover Chronicles by Elizabeth Gaskell. And I'm so happy because Elizabeth Gaskell, vintage edition with red spine. And I love Elizabeth Gaskell, even though I read one of her book, just one, but in my opinion, Elizabeth Gaskell writing is delightful to read. So yes, I got when I browsed and saw this Elizabeth Gaskell, got it. Cranford Chronicles is a sterilized novel. Each chapter is an individual story. It's just set within the same village of Cranford. Cranford is a small rural English town. It is a predominantly filled with women, is usually older. Yes, Elizabeth Gaskell. There's nothing wrong. And the last book, but not the least, is another classic. And this book is Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. This is my first Thomas Hardy. Yes, I know Thomas Hardy is pretty well loved on Booktube, even outside in Booktube world. And we follow Jude's Foley dreams of studying in Crimester, but his background as an orphan raised by his working class aunt leads him into a career as a stone cutter or stone mason. That's the brief synopsis that I know, and I can't wait to get into this book maybe during October. Yeah, so Thomas Hardy Oxford World Classic Edition. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And these are the books that I accumulated during quarantine or lockdown. If you read any of this book, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to know your thoughts on this book. And please don't forget to like or subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!